Good evening, guys. Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys, a lot of you guys who are asking, I have no check engine light on the cluster, instrument cluster. However, my car is taking too much fuel. I don't know if most of you have actually seen this kind of problem, if you witnessed this kind of problem before. Of course, there is those situations in car automotive system where you're not seeing any check engine light on the instrument cluster and the car is taking too much fuel. There are a lot of factors that can actually create that typical scenario. For a lot of people who are mechanic without too much experience inside the field might not be able to understand how this is possible. But some who are still genius in their own field can be able to figure out that there are critical situations that can actually make a car the tongue guzzler without throwing up an error code.
A typical example of an eventuality of a situation where your car is taking too much fuel without triggering a check engine light is a leaky fuel injector. When your injector is leaking, it's not going to throw any check engine light that's actually leaking fuel, and this is actually going to be prompting the fuel to get drip into the cylinder when it's not its appropriate time or its sequential time, when even when it's supposed to be opened or it's supposed to be closed, when it's supposed to stream or spray the fuel, is going to constantly keep dripping fuel. So imagine the occasion where you have 2 to 3 or 4 injectors dripping fuel constantly into the combustion chamber. That's going to result into a huge too much fuel consumption without triggering any check engine light, especially where you have a bad O2 sensor bank 2 that's supposed to be reporting rich mixtures.
If your engine is incorrectly timed, that it jumped maybe 1 or 2 tooths, that can also result into a very huge fuel consumption in your car. So if suppose you're just coming out of a mechanic and they tamper with your timing, make sure that anything that is related to the timing is up to top notch or up to manufacturer specifications, such as the incorrect timing and also the VVT solenoid that controls your timing. Your VVT system, if the VVT system fails, which is very much very common in most Toyota models, then go ahead and find a very good new or a sound VVT system, which is often in this very box here, and replace it, and your car fuel economy is going to improve greatly. If you overloaded your car with a lot of items or commodities and it's carrying too much weight, it should occur to you that the car is going to take more fuel to overcome that very heavy luggage which you have embodied it with. It's a simple mathematics. If you have a kid that is about a month old and you have a kid about 2 years old, you're not going to require exactly the same energy to lift those 2 kids independently out of the ground. You're going to be needing more energy to lift the kid that is 2 years old than an infant that is about a month old. And the reason there is because of the weight. The heavier they are, the more they tend to pull more energy. That's the same thing that happens to car. So if you're having a lot of luggage in that very car there, then you want to go ahead and offload it. Then the number 2 is a resistance. A resistance that is caused by either a part that is malfunctioning, and when this very resistance that we talk about occur, it creates an extra friction on the car which the car tends to overcome, and in this situation the car burns more fuel. However, you're not going to see a check engine light when you are having those kind of problem. And a typical example of it is a stock brake caliper. When you have a brake caliper that is stuck on the rotor, you will often not see any check engine light there. However, that stock, that very situation where you're having right there, where the brake is clamping on the rotor, is going to be creating a resistance to the car motion, which the car will be burning additional fuel to overcome that very resistance. And this consequently leads to much fuel being burned than necessary. Another factor which you're also going to look at when you're having a car that takes more fuel or will not drop any error code is if you are having a poor quality fuel. When you have a very poor fuel quality into your gas tank, the fuel quality which is poor that you have poured into your gas tank will be producing less energy when there is a combustion. And that low energy, the ECM is going to determine it, because you're going to be pressing more on the gas pedal to get the car driving, which will be taking more fuel than normal, because when the ECM notices the angle of your foot on the gas pedal that is not equal to the amount of power being produced, which can be matchable to the speed at which the car is moving, then automatically it's going to be sending more fuel to get burned in order to compensate for that energy loss. So the fuel quality plays a critical role in better gas mileage when you are trying to solve a fuel problem, a too much fuel consumption in your car, that there is no any check engine light on the instrument cluster. Another reason why your car takes more fuel when you are driving without having a check engine light on is when you roll down the window completely down. If you roll the first window down, you are causing a very huge drag to the car, which distorts the entire framework of the aerodynamics to pierce through the air. If you look at it right now, this is real beveled in order to be able to pierce through the air, because when your vehicle is actually driving, there is a lot of air, chunk of air that actually hits the car from the front. So when it hit the car, if the aerodynamic of that very car is not well streamlined to be able to overcome that resistance, your car is going to be burning enough more fuel to overcome the resistance. Now, however, what happens when you did not roll up your window, when you did not wind up your window and you decide to pull it down all the way? You're going to be having a lot of massive chunk of air going inside the car and dragging the car back while you are driving. This might not lead to excessive fuel consumption, but it's going to be leading to significant fuel consumption, up to like 5 to 10%. With other conditions which I've listed, like having a lot of luggage there, let's say that your car have no AC, and yes, it's going to be terrible trying to drive the car that have no AC when you wind up the window. So what I'm going to suggest you do in this regard, in order to create a very best way to get some air into the system, into the cabin, is to roll the window like 3/4 of the entire window. So when you roll it down towards this here and here, there will be no too much air going inside. However, there's going to be sufficient air going inside the car while not causing a serious drag while the car is driving on a high speed. Another scenario that can actually cause a car to take too much fuel than normal is when you decide to compromise the exhaust. When you decide to compromise the exhaust system, for a lot of you guys who want a car that is loud, when you do this, you're going to notice a difference in the fuel consumption. When you take out the catback or you delete the catalytic converter out of the car will become loud, insanely loud. But not only loud, it's going to start streaming more fuel, torrent of fuel into the combustion chamber to get burned. But in this case, if you cut out your catalytic converter, it's going to throw an error code. However, when you cut out your catback, or your exhaust system out, you're going to be having a too much fuel getting burned, but you're not going to find any error code. If you remove this very port right now, the car is going to be loud, but you're going to be having a lot of fuel burning and no any error code. Except if suppose the electronics of your car is really sensitive, but when the too much fuel started going out, there's going to be a report on that's going to be captured by the O2 sensor, because there's going to be a richer mixture, which in turn is going to trigger the O2 sensor to put on the check engine light. So for most of you who don't understand what it is, might think that you have a problem, but I've seen it in most cars that have no catback, there is no any check engine light that popped up, and they were driving all good. Another factor you guys need to consider when you're trying to solve a car issue that consumes too much fuel without having a check engine light is a bad spark plug. Most of the times when you have a bad spark plug, I haven't on any car make and model, from European car, Chinese cars or Asian cars, that have a check engine light for a bad spark plug, except until when it dies completely. So most bad spark plug that are not making a cylinder to misfire, which can actually possibly throw an error code, will not throw any check engine light. So you're going to be having the car running and burning too much fuel when you have a bad spark plug that is due for replacement, maybe due to excessive gapping. Now, due to the bad spark plug, for its incompetency to properly fire, the air fuel mixture will result into energy loss that is going to be costing you a huge loss of too much fuel consumption without triggering any check engine light on. So when next you have a problem with a car that is taking too much fuel without showing any check engine light on, be sure to inspect your spark plug and check the resistance with the multimeter. You should be getting anything between 5k ohms
and above depend on the model if you're using a radium.
The last part of this very episode here, which I'm going to be teaching you guys, is having a wrong tire. Having a wrong tire size or having the wrong tire configuration, which is just about the same. If you choose to drive a winter tire in a summer, your car is going to be having more contact patch, a lot of contact grip on the road, which is not going to be allowing the vehicle to move faster. That's the same way to say when you have a wrong tire size, your car is also going to be hunting for more energy to drive that tire, to use that tire to pull your car while it drives. Consequently, also, when you have a tire that is poorly inflated, your car is going to be taking more fuel because it's going to be taking a lot of energy to pull your car and drive while you're driving. So it is imperative for you to check the pressure on your tire. Most of the times you're going to see the right pressure here, and sometimes you're going to see it on the driver door A pillar. Here you're going to find the sticker here where it's going to be telling you exactly how many psi which the tire should be inflated. So if it's underinflated, you'll be having a fuel consumption, extra fuel consumption, which is not going to trigger any check engine light. I hope you find this very video useful and helpful. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to catch you guys later on the next episode. If you have any further question, drop it in the comment section below, but be sure that you are my subscriber. Bye for now. I'll catch you later.